is my own impression or summary. Dewey is abler than I had figured. His mind works quickly and with a good deal of soundness. He himself has no offhand answers. There is not that immaturity I had anticipated. In fact, I found much less immaturity than I am accustomed to find among the more elder statesmen down in Washington. He impresses me as the only Republican with a chance of being elected, since he is the only one with a distinctive personality. He has personality, plenty of it. Incidentally, he remarked that Joe Martin was the smartest of the Republicans, which earned him a plus mark in my books. Well, I'm not sure whether that last remark invalidates the whole historical value of this letter, but here is a whole, some comments on Dewey, which, unless we bring attention to it in the finding aid, will be completely lost. No one would know it unless they look through the whole collection themselves. So we have to be on the alert or aware of the case where A will write to B about a third person or a third situation, and attention has to be drawn to that particular fact in the finding aid. We also have created a name index which exercises some control over the totality of our collections. That is, all names mentioned in each finding aid is placed on a 3x5 card with the classification number of each collection, and which will make it relatively easy to find about whether or not we have material on a particular person. A young man doing a dissertation on Henry C. Taylor, who was here for a while and then went on up to Wisconsin. He wanted to know whether we had anything, and so it was a relatively simple matter to look under our name index to see whether or not we had anything on Henry C. Taylor. We had a few things in the Niels Olson diary and a few other things, but nothing of great significance. And since he never contacted us again, I assumed he thought we didn't have much, which is what it turned out to be. Finally, there is this business of contacts. Contacts in the sense, I'm relatively new on the scene in Iowa. I'm not that familiar with the history of Iowa and persons and groups that are important. And so contacts are very important. You talk to a person and you say, do you know of anybody else in this area that I should see or know about? And one leads to another, or you go through a collection itself and it gives you leads as to who to contact and what organizations. This helps us very much in widening our field and attempting to cover it as comprehensively as possible, those areas that we feel are worth covering. This has worked very well in conservation. We have leads now to a variety of organizations on the state level whose activities in conservation have been important and whose records, if they have kept them, and if we can get them, would be important additions to our general collecting in the field of conservation. But the whole thing requires patience. It requires an element of luck. I hate to say anything about trout fishing in Ames because I know nothing about trout fishing, and I don't even know if there are trout in Ames. I suspect there aren't. But there is some element of a fisherman in all this. You have to be patient, and you can't take violent, sudden actions because people might get frightened by it. Same as fish, I would assume. So, and you have to sort of take the long view of things. For example, Cornell University, which has also been very active in agriculture for many years, had been negotiating with the National Grange for their records for 21 years, and they finally got them not too long ago. I hope none of my initial contacts ever last that long, because I'll probably have retired before it's been completed, and that would be anticlimactic. But there are, even on the short basis in which we've been in existence, examples in which you speak to someone or an organization and you go back and speak again and you speak again and again, and you try to explain what you're doing and why you think it's important and try to reassure them that things will not be distorted if they happen to leave it with you, that people will not be taking unfair advantage of secret records that they might have, that their enemies, wherever they may be, will not descend upon the Department of Special Collections and ransack it and have an expose on all their dark dealings. I can guarantee that it wouldn't happen. On the other hand, I try to reassure them that it's very unlikely, and that if they don't have someone with, let us say, professional training write their side of the story, if the other side is written without their records, then presumably they're not getting a fair deal. So all this, as I say, requires patience and some degree of persistence, and we try to assume that if they do not respond favorably now, that a year from now, or 6 months, or 2 years, or whatever the case may be, they may change their minds, or you'll be able to convince them that it isn't such a bad thing after all to consider the future and preserve their records with us. But the ultimate purpose of all this is not really preservation, it's use. We are really in the game for people to come in and use it, not for nefarious purposes, I hope, but for students, for faculty members, for scholars, for seriously minded non-academics to come in and use the materials that we have. We're very happy when people do come in and make use of it, because we want to look upon our collections as active collections of interest and use to people who want to find out things, and hoping that each collection in a certain area will reinforce another, that they will find materials enough on hand to be able to do a respectable job on almost any level. Eventually, we hope that there will be enough materials there to offer enough work for someone to do a dissertation, or someone beyond that level to do a book. It's a little early now to do that, but the test of it all is that if someone comes in and uses it. The test is not how much we collect, but how much it's being used, and that's, as I say, the ultimate aim in all of this.